the desire of people to disentangle from the system and build a parallel universe for themselves that feels more stable and more secure, that they have more control of. That is a heartfelt desire in tons of people right now.
This is Kaiser Johnson with Liberty and Finance, and this is the Miles Franklin Weekly Special for June 13th through June 20th, 2023, while supplies last. This week we feature backdated 1-ounce silver Australian kangaroos at just $3.99 over spot per ounce, and 2023 quarter-ounce Noah's Ark silver coins at $3.25 over melt per coin. First, backdated kangaroos are 4/9 fine 1-ounce silver sovereign coins of Australia. They are renowned for their purity and design. They come 25 to a tube, and with just 250 coins to a monster box, they are the most affordable monster box available, especially at just $3.99 over spot per ounce while supplies last. Next, the quarter-ounce Noah's Ark silver coins are sovereign coins of Armenia, minted by the famed Geiger Mint in Germany, and they have a face value of 100 dram, a great way to get fractional silver for a significantly lower premium than you would normally pay. The quarter-ounce Noah's Arks also have a quarter-ounce monster box with 500 coins. Both our specials this week are IRA eligible, and if you'd like to learn more about a precious metals IRA, call us, and we'll be happy to help you in that process. To order our specials or any of the many other options we have available, call us at 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237. We're available after hours and on weekends, and we look forward to speaking with you.
Welcome back to Liberty and Finance. We're always privileged to have this returning guest who's widely sought after as a speaker, lecturer, educator, author across the country. He's a teaching farmer, Joel Salatin, nationally and internationally renowned, and author of many books on subjects related to food independence and nurturing your family while you nurture your community and nurture the land. And he's here again on Liberty and Finance to talk to us about food security and how you can move from food insecurity to food security. Joel, thanks for coming back on Liberty and Finance.
Thank you, Dunnigan. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
We've had so many things happen over the last 3 years that have accelerated some of the themes that you and I have discussed for many years longer than that. We've seen all kinds of different things transpire that have left people scratching their heads, frankly, such as breakdown of meat processing plants and explosions in grain processing plants and fires in chicken plants and planes crashing into other types of food things and interruptions in the global supply chain with thousands of ships that were stacked up off Long Beach, California, et cetera, that have made people start to maybe sit up a little bit, some of them, and some of us are asking, how can we maybe break out of that thinking that our only source of food is the grocery store, and we've learned the hard way that sometimes the shelves are bare at the grocery store, depending on what kind of disruptions may come. And so, how can we move from that food insecurity towards food security with our family? And you have covered that with us many times in the past. We'd like to get your latest thinking, your latest anecdotes you'd like to point out to kind of remind people that we need to maybe lift ourselves out of that fog of thinking that we're so dependent or need to be so dependent upon long supply chains, et cetera, to bring us our food. And then maybe what are some doable things, some simple steps that people can take to start actions that would kind of build upon each other to help us get more food security for our family.
Yeah, well, if there's one refrain that I hear routinely now, it's how do I disentangle people? I liken it kind of my latest word picture is that if you ever had a wasp nest, at the back porch of your house, usually up in the rafters of the porch or something, this wasp nest, and they just kind of sit there in the wasp nest. They're just there, and they're always kind of just sitting there. But if you happen to be, sweeping or something, and you happen to hit that rafter with a broom handle, suddenly all those bees are up on they're not necessarily coming to get you, but they're stirred up, and their wings are positioned and they're ready to go on attack. And I feel like, I feel like that's where the world is right now. That you just feel like this beehive has been poked and poked and poked, and there's all sorts of things poised to happen, from digital currency to to defund the police, letting criminals go unpunished. Of course, the border, the war in Ukraine, fertilizers up, 400%. The whole green energy, EV, and can't find enough lithium, and houses burning down because lithium batteries and computers explode and burn the house down. And of course, you got avian influenza. They're just many things. Taiwan, and so what thinking people are, I think, understanding is that the long food chains are increasingly becoming frayed. It's fragile. We thought that we could go offshore with all of our food. In fact, right now, America, for the first time in our history, maybe except for the first few months of Jamestown, but other than that, this is the first time in our history that we're now importing 20% of our food. One in 5 mouthfuls of food is imported from and of course, the U.S. is supposedly the food, whatever, the most food secure place in the world. And so, and so here we are in this strange place of fragility, it seems, on many fronts. And so I like that beehive thing, because I think those of us who are thinking, we just feel that when we see news and we talk to people and stuff, there's just this kind of unsettledness, like the bees are kind of buzzing. So obviously for, people who listen to you, who are thinking people, this is not news. And of course the tendency is to run, or to kind of either run or it's not going to happen. It's not going to be bad. And but there's increasing concern that the wheels are going to fall off. The economy and different things. And so how do I disentangle from that? So that brings us back to that refrain of how do I disentangle? And so there's a couple things I'll just mention. One is obviously to shorten your food custody chain. So how do you do that? Well, the closer you can come to the producer, the better off you'll be. Obviously, that closeness can be geographical. If it's a neighbor, if it's somebody in the community, that's the best you possibly can. The next best would be to know a farmer through, to have food delivered. And shipping logistics has completely revolutionized the ability to have direct farmer to consumer, farm to table, relationships that aren't geographically proximate. The cost of bricks and mortar interfaces is continuing to escalate. The cost of having the insurance to make sure somebody falls on a banana peel and sues you. You've got insurance to cover it. The cost of keeping the lights all lit that go to the back bathroom, and all that. The cost of a cashier, employees stocking shelves, even buffing and polishing and waxing the floors at night. all of that cost is escalating while the cost of distribution is dropping. And so, these two are coming into equilibrium, which is making options for, doorstep delivery at competitive prices quite possible. One of the things that we've just learned here, I'll just give you this story. In the last 3 months, we've begun shipping eggs. Yes, shipping eggs. That sounds crazy. But we had extra eggs, and so hey, let's see, because we ship meat all over the nation now, and wonder if we could add eggs to it. And what we found is that we can ship to New York City eggs cheaper than they can buy them from local farmers. Why? Because the cost of living is so high. Regulations are high. Taxes are high. Labor is high. All sorts of things are high. The DEQ, environmental quality, all sorts of things are extraordinarily high. And here where we live in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, we have a very low cost of living. We don't have crime. We don't have, high taxes. Taxes are very, very low. We don't have much regulation, very conservative, area. And so it's just interesting that as this starts to happen, it's just interesting that places that are conservative with a lower cost of living now, with the lower cost of logistics, distribution logistics, are now becoming a new source for for high cost of living urban areas. That's very competitive, even with proximate production. It's just a fascinating kind of a new thing that's just happened, very, very recently.
So help us understand the distinction you're drawing there between, because we've gone through the lesson that long supply chains that involve shipping produce and something, from the tip of South America or from China or somewhere to the U.S. Can be very fragile. And but you're saying that there's a different way that's emerging, other than just making friends with your local farmer, that allows you to get delivered things that may not come from right next door, but they don't have to come from so very far away. And that's a new model?
Yes, I think so, because what has changed is the cost of small package customized shipping. It used to be that the only way that distance could be price competitive was at scale, a shipload or, a container load, that sort of thing. That's the only way that it was competitive. But today, with the revolution in logistics, like I'm told that, for example, UPS and FedEx now have software. The drivers plug in their addresses for the day, and it automatically routes them so they never have to make a left-hand turn. And that software alone saved them like 30% of their fuel bill. So those kinds of breakthrough, and who knows, maybe they're heading into, AI as well. But who knows what that sort of thing can offer. And so it miniaturizes. It drops the cost. For example, Great Britain right now, in the UK, they're experimenting in abattoirs. That's a pretty name for slaughterhouses, of going to empirical artificial intelligent infrared photography. All like pathogens like Salmonella, E. coli, Listeria, they all actually broadcast a frequency in the infrared spectrum that is as bacterially or microbially specific, species specific as AM stations on a radio dial. So just like you would, tune your radio, you can tune to Salmonella, you can tune to Campylobacter, and so they're actually taking AI photography so that a facility doesn't need a bunch of political subjective poke and sniff people, bureaucrats standing around. It actually becomes empirical with these benchmarks. that sort of thing is revolutionary for smaller plants that have been inordinately prejudiced with our political subjective meat inspection program. So, on a lot of scales, what I'm getting at is on a lot of scales, there is a new potential for customization within the marketplace, and that's a good customization and direct direct market. I mean look at Uber with traffic. You contact a person. You don't call a switchboard company. Boom, you're just right there in a car. Airbnb. All these things are symptomatic of distribution logistics that are atomizing and customizing that buyer seller experience, and so food is now enjoying the same kind of thing, tapping into these platforms that have been developed generally in other places besides food, hospitality and travel and things like that. And food is coming on rapidly in that space, so that just like you circumvent, big switchboards for, big companies for other things, you circumvent the supermarket, you circumvent that long, nameless, faceless chain, and through democratized information via electronic communication, the internet, you can have almost as direct a relationship with a farmer that's 200 miles away as you can with a farmer down at farmer's market, and you don't have to leave your house or put on clothes or drive gasoline to go down there to get it. And listen, I'm a local food, I love local food. So remember, my first answer was, go start patronizing your local farmer, find your local farmers, all that stuff. But in some cases, it's actually safer to stay in your house. I mean, if thugs are patrolling the neighborhood, it's actually more secure. Stay in your house, order on the internet, and have it brought to you by FedEx or UPS, from a farmer that may not be local, but you can have a direct relationship nonetheless.
Now, one of the pitfalls that people are concerned, or I guess wary of becoming too dependent on, is technology, in the sense of when we talked about you're sidestepping large corporation brick and mortar, that sort of thing. True enough, but if everything we're talking about is based on the cell phones being up and the internet being up and that sort of thing, it still it sounds like behooves us to have that traditional pathway of either growing some of our own stuff or knowing people who do, in addition to some of these customized, democratized, convenientized. That's right. And I'm heading there. So what can a person do? So, the first thing you can do quickly without even planting a garden is going down to farmer's market and just opt out of the supermarket. I mean, well, actually, I should back up. The first thing you can do is quit buying processed food. Buy whole foods, raw foods that you actually use your own kitchen to prepare, preserve, package, and process. And again, we've gadgetized our kitchens with all sorts of, machines and time bake and bread makers and ice cream makers and Instapots and all sorts of things. So we're not talking about getting in your kitchen, walking a mile to the spring to bring a bucket of water home and stoke the wood stove to get hot water to wash dishes. Fortunately, technology has moved us to a place where the kitchen is an amazing techno-gadgetized workspace. And so that's where it starts. And then we procure stuff
that's unprocessed, that drops the cost way down and greatly enhances the nutrition. Typical, commercial food processing basically takes the nutrition out. Flour, you shouldn't have to add. It shouldn't have to be fortified with anything. The reason it's fortified is because they took all the nutrition out. So you shouldn't have to get things like that. So you get unprocessed. You get a flour mill. My goodness, you can buy a 50-pound bag of wheat, and you can grind it in your own kitchen with a little hand grinder. And I mean, you'll have the best bread you can imagine, and you can use your bread maker. It's got a computer in it, and you stick it in, and boom, you're done. So that kind of thinking gets us to a more direct, less, much shorter supply chain. I don't mean shorter necessarily in miles, although I do also mean that, but shorter supply chain in that it hasn't gone through all the warehouses and all the different, laboratories that it normally goes through. I mean, think about this: a McDonald's hamburger has pieces of 600 different animals in it. But when you get ground beef from us, for example, it's coming from one animal, and so just from a safety standpoint, it's a big difference. All right, so we've done that, we've gone through that, and now I'll move into, yes, absolutely. If you've got any ground at all, you can be growing something. And my latest book, Polyface Micro, I actually talk about how to have rabbits and chickens in a Manhattan apartment. You don't need a bunch of land to do this. You can the urban gardening gadgets are now just off the charts in possibilities. You can get PVC pipes with pockets built into them, and pack them with compost, and you can grow a complete herb garden hanging on your patio in the pockets of these PVC pipes. And so that kind of thing is available. It's possible. And let me say one other thing in case, I'm sure you've got all sorts of different kind of people listen to this. So I'm going to give you kind of the latest thing that's just really come across my desk and I've been thinking about is just like you have lawn care service, small engine repair shop, plumbers, electricians, roofers, gutter cleaners. I mean, think about all the service people we have. I think that with the amount of interest in this, that one of the hottest entrepreneurial opportunities right now in food is garden service, where a person comes in, you keep working, keep your job, whatever it is, but somebody comes in and actually installs and maintains a garden on your property. And I years ago, she's not in business anymore. She started this kind of later in life, but I ran into a lady in Edmonton who lived in a 5th floor condominium, desperately wanted a farm, didn't have any money, didn't have any land, and she knew she had one friend that had a backyard. She went to that friend and said, "Could I put a garden in your backyard? I just want to grow something." The friend said, "Sure, you can have a 10x12 plot here and put a garden in." So she did. Well, the neighbor looks across and sees this beautiful garden. She says, you think your friend would put a garden in my place? Well, I'll ask her. So, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And I met her about a year and a half after she started this, and she was farming almost 20 backyards, full-time job. She quit her job, and she was charging by the square foot. However big your plot was, it was so much a square foot. And so she charged by the square foot, just like a lawn care company charges by the size of your lawn. And so these people got the benefit. They were eating out of their own gardens, but they didn't even have to maintain them. And so they had the nutritional and emotional and satisfaction of their own backyard food, tended by a master gardener professional. So they had, that was great crop insurance. She knew how to handle Colorado potato beetles and different things without sprays, and it was just dynamite. And her whole business, she made little special bags on the side of her bicycle, all of her tools, rakes and shovels and hoes and things, and she just carried those hand tools with her from site to site, and it was a wonderful, wonderful service. And I think because so many people are intimidated by growing their own food, or they want somebody to hold their hand, and I think that this potential for garden service, I don't know if that's what the real name is, but you see what I'm saying, for to provide professional garden service like this, I think can revolutionize certainly the suburban and a lot of urban sector, because you can grow a lot of stuff, on very small patches if it's done intensively and masterfully.
These ideas are drawing from your latest research, but also things that you've explored in some of the books that you've written. If people want to delve further into these, your latest thinking on how to do the most with minimal or even no land and minimal or no time of your own or experience of your own on how to do a master gardening, which of your books do you recommend that they would crack open, and where can they find those?
Yeah, well, of course, I'm a livestock guy. We have a big garden, but I wouldn't consider myself a master gardener. I'm a skilled gardener, but I'm not a master gardener. That's just not where I make my living. So I'm in livestock. So if you're interested in animals, especially I recommend rabbits and chickens because they're small. My book, Polyface Micro, is definitely the one to get for, or if you want a milk cow, or if you want small herd of, for small holdings. Polyface Micro, it's all about handling livestock on a homestead scale.
And where can they find that book?
We make the most money if they buy it from us, from our gift store, Polyface Farms. Just Google, Polyface Farms. In fact, if you put in POLY, it'll probably come up, Polyface. But Polyface Farms, and we've got a whole gift shop and different things on there. As far as good gardening books, probably one of the latest, The Rooted Life by Justin Rhodes. That's a real recent one that's just come out, and it's a fantastic book, The Rooted Life by Justin Rhodes. That's a good one. Of course, anything by Elliot Coleman. He's the granddaddy of this whole professional gardening thing. Anything by J.M. Fortier. He's from Quebec, Fortier, J.M. Fortier. He's written a couple of books, and he's a full-time farmer on a couple of acres. The Lean Farm by Ben Hartman is really good. Again, there's a guy that's got like 1.6 acres, makes a full-time living on 1.6 acres, plus has some part-time labor as well. Every year his income goes up. The land doesn't. He just tightens it up and gets better and better every year. Spin farming is really good. SPIN. That's an acronym, and any of their kind of material is fantastic. So there's a lot of good. Look, the weak link here, Dunnigan, is not resources. It's not location. It's not money. The weak link here is between our ears. It's to say, okay, we're gonna limit ourselves to one movie a month, and we're going to put attention on this. The average American male right now, between 25 and 35, the average American male spends 20 hours a week playing video games. In that 20 hours a week, you could absolutely make a full-time, I'll just say it, you can make a full-time living on a 1.5 acre plot. I mean, the potential is just unbelievable. I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating, but you get the point. I mean, that's a lot of time, and the potential here is incredible, and the desire of people to disentangle from the system and build a parallel universe for themselves that feels more stable and more secure, that they have more control of. That is a heartfelt desire in tons of people right now. Remember, 36% of Americans did not take the COVID jab, and probably 10% of the ones who did wish they hadn't. That's approaching half the population that's actually thinking intentionally. And boy, if all of those people would defund, if we want to defund something, let's defund Monsanto, let's defund Cargill, let's defund, Tyson. If all those people would defund the system, we would build a brand new universe that would be way more stable, way more secure, way more liberty oriented, and way more responsive to individual needs rather than just the almighty dollar.
Excellent. That's great food for thought. I hate to fall on that at the end of our conversations, but it comes naturally. So, Joel, as always, we're just so grateful for your presence here, and would love to have you back on to give us even more new and practical and kind of breaking ideas that are becoming more and more possible for people if we just open our eyes and minds to new possibilities. And we're very grateful for you joining us here on Liberty and Finance.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Miles Franklin Precious Metals is one of America's oldest and most trusted bullion dealers. Miles Franklin is A+ rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau, licensed and bonded, and has 0 complaints ever registered. Here at Liberty and Finance, we are licensed brokers with Miles Franklin. To order, simply call us, discuss your needs, and we can let you know our live inventory, prices, and availability, and lock in your order over the phone. Once your order is locked, the price is held for you regardless of market fluctuations, and the metals are reserved for you awaiting your settled payment. Within 1 business day of ordering, you will receive an email invoice detailing the order and payment instructions. Miles Franklin accepts payments by bank wire, ACH or electronic check, money order, check mailed priority mail, and cryptocurrency. The fastest forms of payment are bank wire and cryptocurrency. Upon settled payment, metals will ship out within 3 to 5 business days. You will receive tracking information via email. Domestic shipping charges are $15 for any order under 500 ounces of silver or 10 ounces of gold. For orders larger than that, domestic shipping is free. The package will be boxed, fully insured, and labeled discreetly, with no indication of the contents inside. For your privacy, the name Miles Franklin will not even be on the package. To talk to myself, Kaiser, my brother Elijah, or my father Dunnigan, call 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237.